This video goes over the Unit 7 4.0 practice video. This first question is a question that deals with long division. Notice that the thing that we're dividing by, the divisor, is a quadrilateral, which means that we have to use long division. Synthetic division will not work when you're dividing by quadrilaterals. So I'm going to put my divisor and my dividend. When you're writing your dividend, it has to be in standard form. So start with your biggest power, so 6x to the fourth. And then we would go to x cubed. But notice there is no x cubed term, so we're going to use 0 as a placeholder. Let's write 0x cubed, and then x squared, and then x, and then constant. Okay, so we are going to start by looking at this first term of the dividend, and we're going to divide it by the first term of the divisor. So 6x fourth divided by x squared. We get 6x squared. Then we're going to take that number that we just got and we're going to multiply it by this whole thing. So we're going to do 6x squared times x squared is 6x to the fourth. 6x squared times negative 7x is negative 42x cubed. And 6x squared times 5 is 30x squared. And then, so we've divided, we've multiplied, now we're going to subtract. When we're subtracting, we change all of the signs, and then we can just look at it as adding the opposite. So these cancel. We have 42x cubed and negative 23x squared. Then we're going to bring down this next thing and we'll have negative 3x. So then the whole process starts over. We look at the first thing here and we divide it by x squared. So it'll be 42x. Then we're going to multiply. 42x times x squared is 42x cubed. 42x times negative 7x, is negative 294x squared. And 42x times 5 is positive 210x. Then we're going to subtract, so we change all of our signs. These cancel, and we're left with 271x squared minus 213x, and we're going to bring down this plus 10. Then the whole process starts over again. So we're going to start here. We're going to divide by x squared. It's going to give us 271. 271 times x squared is 271x squared. 271 times negative 7x is negative 4,607x. And 271 times 5 is positive 1,355. Then we're going to subtract, so we change all the signs. These cancel, and we're left with 4,394x minus 1,345. So there's a couple indicators that we're done. There's nothing else to bring down in our dividend, and also 4,394x is not divisible by x squared. So this is our remainder. So we're going to put plus, and then our remainder over what we were dividing by. And then we're done. There's our quotient. All right, so let's look at the second problem. This one's a lot quicker and a lot easier. It's actually very similar to lesson 5 in the packet. So we know we're going to be writing a function of least degree. So we know we're going to have a y equals a, and we're going to have factors for each one of our zeros. So x minus 3 gives us a 0 of 3, x minus 5 a 0 of 5, and x plus 1 a 0 of negative 1. Now this right here says if we input 2, the output is negative 4. So remember, in a point, the input is the x value and the output is negative 4. So this is the same as x and this is the same as y. From there, the process is the exact same as it was in lesson 5. So we're going to let, everywhere we see a y, we're plugging in a negative 4, and everywhere we see an x, we're plugging in a 3. So then naturally the next thing that we should do is simplify these parentheses. When we have some stuff being multiplied, so we're going to multiply it together. We have a, and then -1 times -3 times 3 is 9. And then we're going to divide both sides by 9. So a equals -4/9. And we're going to plug that into our equation that we started with. And there is our equation, and that's all you do. We know that we're done. It doesn't tell us we have to write it in standard form, so I would just leave it in factored form. If it told you had to write it in standard form, then I would change it. All right, so let's look at number 3. So here's the volume of this box. Now remember, volume is length times width times height. So here we have our length, here's our width, here's our height. So there's a couple of different ways to approach this problem. I want to look at this in the context of numbers, because I think sometimes numbers are easier for us to understand how to do a problem. So if you knew that a volume was 36, so you know the volume of a box is 36, and you knew the length was 3, and you knew the height was 4, then what would the width have to be? So there's a couple different ways you would approach that. Some of you would probably think, well, the length times the height is 12, so 12 times what gives me 36? So width would have to be 3. Some of you might say, well, 36 divided by 3 is 12, divided by 4 is 3, so the width would have to be 3. So 2 different approaches to the problem we're doing here as well. We can multiply our 2 knowns together and divide by that, or we can divide by each one of our knowns and be left with the length. Either way is fine. There's one way that's a little easier. The way that's easier is if you divide by both of your knowns. So I'm going to start by dividing this volume by x minus 2. Since we're dividing by x minus 2, we can use synthetic division. See why I say that would be easier? If we multiply these 2 things together, we're going to get a quadratic. And to divide by the quadratic, we have to use long division, which just takes longer. So I'm going to go this route. So we're going to divide by x minus 2 first. So I'm going to put 2 in the box. I'm going to put down my coefficients. Now I should get 0 as my remainder. If you're not sure how to do synthetic division, check out the video for lesson 2. Okay, so there's my 0 remainder. So that means that the volume divided by the height is 2x squared minus 7x minus 4. And so now I'm going to divide that by my width. So now 4 goes in the box, and I'm going to use these coefficients. 2, -7, -4. Once again, I should get 0 as a remainder. Oop. Sorry, it should be positive 4. And this is my remainder, constant x. So that means what's left should be my width. So 2x plus 1 is my width. That's my final answer.